Welcome to the Friendly Auto Show. I'm Susan Langheim, and today we are discussing safety in your home and on the road. Stick around, you won't want to miss these tips to keep you and your family safe. It is my pleasure to have Priscilla Tobias from the Illinois Department of Transportation with us. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
It's so great to have you here. As you know, our theme of the show is safety, and I know your job really deals with safety. Give us a little background about what you do, Priscilla.
Okay, so I am the state safety engineer, so as part of that program, I work with different safety partners and stakeholders like law enforcement and education individuals, but we look at the roads and how we can make them safer, and that deals with guardrail, pavement markings, signing, but make the road safer, but also to reduce the frequency and severity of crashes. So if you do have a crash, how can we make it such that you don't get hurt or not as bad?
That's a big job. You have.
There's a lot of people involved. It's really important on collaborating or partnering with our various different stakeholders.
Let's talk about in the summertime approaching. There's always a lot of work zone areas. Could you clarify what the average driver is supposed to do? Say, for instance, when they see these work zone signs, aside from what we all probably know is to slow down. Tell us, give us a little more information there.
Well, the one thing that we see, especially out on the interstates, that you can have changing conditions where traffic will start slowing down, and it can happen quickly. But usually, I think the biggest thing when we come into a work zone, we see orange signs everywhere. So that is the big sign, indicator to slow down. We see speed and distraction as our largest contributing factors to crashes, and so as you're coming into a work zone, the biggest thing is to be looking out for what's going on, the changing conditions, traffic slowing down. There may be some lane drop-offs, barrier. So you need to slow down, get into the proper lane. Don't wait till the last minute, and then obey those speed limit signs. It is illegal to be on your cell phone, to be texting as you go, well, anywhere, but definitely through a work zone. You think about a lot of things can occur, and you have workers out there, you have equipment, and as I mentioned, the lane shifts and drops and things, and so that's where your undivided attention is critical.
Absolutely. What about if you see these signs out, the yellow signs, but it's a time of day when the workers aren't there? What are the rules during that?
So for this, like the speed limits signs, because I know that's a question we always get. When workers are not present, do I have to obey the speed limit? And yes, those black and white signs are regulatory, and so if the speed limit is reduced and posted at 45 miles an hour, then you are required to reduce your speed to that speed. And if you don't, that can result in a $375 ticket if it's your first one, and $1,000 if it's your second. And really the goal is not to issue tickets. It's about voluntary compliance of the speed limit. We want motorists to slow down. So regardless of daytime, nighttime, and even around here, we've had nighttime construction going on I-55, and had pavers out there and a lot of workers, and so you might not expect that type of construction, but it is actually going on sometimes.
How safe do the workers feel out on these roads?
I think they're in a high-risk job. They have. We do get workers that get hit, and unfortunately, we have some every year that are killed. And so I would say that those workers do feel like that they are, as I said, at a higher risk, and I think their biggest thing is that they see motorists that are on their phone, that are not paying attention, that are speeding, not obeying like the flaggers when the flaggers are telling people to move over or slow down, and so those are the things that we try to communicate out to the public. The one thing I think that most motorists probably don't realize is that 90% of our work zone fatalities are actually motorists. So they are more at risk of, you as a driver, more at risk of being killed or injured in a work zone crash. And so that's really, you know, and as I mentioned, the changing conditions and high-speed rear-end crashes are huge as far as the frequency of those.
So it's so important for all people involved, not only the workers, but also the drivers, and just to have, I mean, it must be so frustrating for workers to see, you know, these cars zoom by or somebody on the cell phone, as you said. I mean, it's just common courtesy and respect for these people doing their job.
Right, you're exactly right, and that's the thing. Our goal is that everyone, whether the worker and the motorist, that they make it to their destination or home safely at the end of the day. And so that's really what our whole work zone safety program is. It's like, how do you get the motorists through the work zone quickly and safely, and have the workers be able to do their job safely. And we work with law enforcement to enforce those laws. There are move over laws, there are hit a worker law, you know, so again, trying to have those stiff penalties to get voluntary compliance of them.
Could you refresh our memory on move over laws?
Okay, the move over law, when you approach an emergency vehicle, maintenance, construction vehicle, you're to slow down and move over. You know, if you can't move over, then you're at least supposed to slow down and proceed with due caution. But the key thing is to slow down, move over, so that you can yield the right of way, and then you come back over. And so we've really worked closely with state police and with our industry partners to get that message out, and we'll do enforcement details with that. And, you know, and that includes our maintenance trucks that may be out there picking up debris or doing striping or other type of maintenance activities, but also fire, police as well.
That's great. Boy, you're always, I know, working hard and trying to limit these accidents. So for anybody watching the show, what advice would you give them?
You know, the biggest thing I would say is do your part and drive smart, and, you know, pay attention.
Perfect. Perfect. Listen to Priscilla.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being on the Friendly
it.
Auto Show. We'll be right back. It is my pleasure to have Joanna, the Executive Director of the Ronald McDonald House, with me today. Hi.
Hi.
Tell me a little bit about the Ronald McDonald House, about your organization.
Sure. We are a house that provides a supportive home away from home for families with children receiving medical care in Springfield. So they travel from all over the state, all over the country, and we've even had some international guests as well. So we provide them with their own place to stay, their own room and private bathroom, meals, and other amenities of home. You know, a stressful time when your child is sick, we really try to eliminate the stress of travel, the stress of, well, where am I going to stay, plus the expenses as well. We do not charge families to stay with us.
Oh, that's wonderful. It must be such a relief for these families.
It really is.
As you said, in such a hard time having your child hospitalized and then, you know, worrying about meals and things like that.
Right.
How many families do you serve a year?
A year we serve over 400. We have 14 bedrooms, so we can serve 14 families at one time. And we just did a renovation last year, so we went from 12 to 14 bedrooms in order to serve more families. Prior to that, we were having a wait list and we were having to find other accommodations. So now we're able to serve more families, and it's well over 400 a year.
That's amazing. Someone watching the show, how do they get information, or how do they know if they would be eligible to stay at the home?
Sure. Well, you can certainly visit our website, which is www.rmhc-centralillinois.org. But the hospital, the medical community here in Springfield really, knows about us and knows the resource. And a lot of times our families will be working with social workers and the nurses at the hospitals to be referred to us. Generally, we say that it's about 40 minutes away that you need to live. So you've traveled into town, and then you need a child 0 to 22, their 22nd birthday.
So how long can these families stay at the house?
Sure, that's a great question. Once we give them a room, and as long as their child is being treated, they have that room.
That's nice.
So, you know, we see families that stay a night for like outpatient procedures, but last year we had a family that stayed with us for 9 months. So it really does become a home away from home. And if you think about all the expenses of what a hotel would be, you know, those 9 months really save families thousands of dollars.
Oh my gosh, it would be astronomical, wouldn't it, if they had to pay that?
Right.
Do you have any special events coming up to raise money for your
We sure
organization?
do. We sure do. We do have several events throughout the year. The next one coming up is our 21st annual Golf Classic.
Oh boy.
Yes.
That's a popular one,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes. It is a popular event in town, which we're very grateful for. It's June 23rd, Tuesday, June 23rd at Piper Glen.
Okay.
Yes.
Someone watching the show, how do they get information and to get tickets or to play in the golf tournament?
Yes. Again, our website, or they can call us at 217-528-3314, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. For those who aren't playing golf but would like to maybe come to dinner, there are dinner tickets available as well.
Oh, good.
And we're still seeking some sponsorships and silent auction items and raffle items.
Great.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of volunteers at the house
We
during
do.
the year?
We could not do what we do without our volunteers, no question. We have a very small paid staff, so we really rely on the volunteers to continue our day-to-day operations. We've got guest services volunteers who do more of a commitment type volunteering, so they do a weekly basis for about 3 to 4 hours a week that they stay at the house. So we've got that kind of volunteer opportunity. Then we have groups, you know, church groups, youth groups, Girl Scout troops that come to cook dinner for families. You know, part of providing a home is providing a nice home cooked meal, which is really a small touch, but it goes a long way for the families. So we have volunteers that come in to cook, and then of course for special events like our Golf Classic, we need volunteers to help for that too. So a lot of different opportunities.
So someone watching could say, "Oh gosh, I like to cook," so you could put them to work at the house.
Correct,
right?
correct. Yes, we would love for people to come cook meals for our families. We try to fill up our calendar as much as possible so families can have that option to have a meal when they get home from the hospital.
That's fabulous. So the golf tournament's coming up in June. What other events do you have throughout the year?
Sure. Well, next year is our 30th anniversary. We opened in 1986 here in Springfield, so we're going to be celebrating with a gala next year. And then other events are just, we partner with the local Mcdonald's too that do fundraising events for us also. So we're very grateful to have the support from the community. It's been fantastic.
Yes, Springfield is a good community,
They really
isn't
are.
it?
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Joanna, and I
No
appreciate you
problem.
being on the show.
Thank
and
you.
for more information, please contact the Ronald McDonald House or go to their website. It's my pleasure to have Nancy from SIU School of Medicine with us today. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Susan.
Tell me about what Think First is. I see it on your shirt.
Think First is an injury prevention program. We try and prevent people from getting the types of serious injuries that would mean they might need surgery or could cause long-term disability. So we try and prevent injuries before they happen.
What kind of programs do you have and what kind of injuries do you prevent?
Our specific injuries we look at are brain and spinal cord injuries. Those are the ones that are probably the most serious injuries a person could have. So we try and prevent those. And by doing that, we work with kids of all ages. We talk to high school students in driver's ed classes about buckling up and car safety. We talk with younger kids about bike safety, pedestrian safety, and then with little kids we work with child passenger safety with child safety seats.
Well, that brings us to here. I know we're having a child safety check at the Chatham Square on May 20th with you from 2 to 5. Tell viewers what they can expect at your event.
Okay. At the C-Check event, people will come in and they need to be prepared to wait probably 30 minutes or so, but we will check to make sure that their seat is properly installed, and we will make sure that they understand how to use that seat correctly. What we find is that 70 to 80% of car seats are not installed properly, are not used properly, and so that's one of the things that we look for to make sure that that child is as safe as possible when they leave that seat checked. So they'll come in, we'll get some information from them, and then we'll have some bays set up that they can drive through and have their seat checked.
Tell me about, there's a multitude of child safety seats out there, and someone watching, I mean, can they get one at a garage sale, or should they go to a you know, a store with a big selection, or online? What's the best way to purchase a seat, and where?
The best thing to know about a seat is that seat's history. So if someone goes to a resale shop or to a garage sale, they may not be able to know, has that seat ever been recalled? Was it ever in a crash? And that might risk that child's safety. So we pretty much recommend that people try and get, unless they know the seat's history. You know, you had your sister bought it new and she kept it in pristine condition, it's not been recalled, then that seat would be okay to use. But it's important to know, you know, if that seat has ever been in a crash, because it could have cracks, it could have frayed straps, things like that, that would cause it not to be as safe. So as far as selecting a seat for a child, we want to make sure that that seat that's chosen is the right seat for that child. So sometimes it takes a little bit. You can order online from many places, but sometimes it's better to kind of get out and play with the seats and touch them and see, does my child fit in this seat properly? Maybe they're kind of tall, maybe they're shorter, and to see how that seat fits, and also if that seat then fits in their car too.
Right. Tell me about what are the ages where they're facing the rear and moving to the front, and then when they get a booster seat and then not needing one at all?
We say there's about 4 steps for kids. When they're young, the safest way for them to travel, the safest way for any of us to travel, would be rear facing. Because when a car is going forward, the child's head and neck in a rear facing seat is protected. And if the car comes to a sudden stop or just slams on the brake, their head's not going to travel forward, it's going to travel back into the seat and be protected. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that children stay rear facing up to the age of 2 now, and so we try and keep children rear facing as long as possible, up to the weight limit of that seat, the height and weight limit of that seat. And then there's a forward facing seat, that's kind of the second step, and again that has an internal 5-point harness that keeps that child safe and secure to the seat. And it's important that that seat is installed correctly. There is usually almost always there's a tether strap that goes behind that seat, so that if the car does get hit or is in a wreck, it's going to prevent the seat from flying forward. People oftentimes miss that step when they're installing their seat, or they don't think that that's important. So that's one thing that we would work with people on. Then the next step after that, again, once a child reaches the upper weight limit of the harness in that seat, then they can move to a booster seat. Again, looking at the age and weight, height of that child. And then the state of Illinois says the child must be in a child seat until they're at least 8 years old. Okay, now 8 is not magic. That means, oh, I'm 8, I can hop into a seatbelt. They need to be able to fit in that seatbelt properly, be able to sit all the way back with their knees bent over the edge of the seat and their feet flat on the floor to know that that seatbelt's going to hold them securely in event of a crash.
One more question, because I have a 10-year-old that always wants to sit in the front, and I still, you know, she probably won't want me to say, but I have her sit in the back seat. Is there an age?
You're a great mom.
She said, all my friends are doing it. I'm like, I know, but I feel better. What age is it safe for them to move up to a front seat?
We recommend that a child stay in the back seat until they're age 13. Until they're big enough, their body's big enough and strong enough. If they're going to sit in front of that airbag, if it deploys, it's going to hit them in the strong body, the strongest parts of their body, in the bones of the chest. Rather than if they're shorter, it's going to hit them in the face. So that's the good reason. I love you too much, honey. I don't want your face to be hurt if the airbag would go off.
I'm going to make sure that she watches this segment like a couple of times, so I'm not the mean mommy that says no. But it's important. I mean, safety, safety first, and I know that's what you preach.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. And for more information and just to have that peace of mind of having your child's safety seat checked for proper installation, come on out on May 20th at the Chatham Square between 2 and 5. One more quick question. Someone watching says, I don't have a car seat. You know, I can't afford a car seat, or what can be done for someone in that situation?
We may have some seats available. We will ask for a donation for those seats because they are not free to us.
Right.
And that helps us to be able to help people who are in that situation. But we also would have local resources that if we can't provide it there, that we might be able to refer them on to someone who could help them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
No
Nancy,
problem.
for your help.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to have Sheriff Westbar with me today, and I have a big congratulations to you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, it's my privilege. Thank you.
Well, we've talked a lot today with people, different people, about safety, and I know safety is of the utmost importance to your department as well. Summer's coming. What can we do to be safe?
Well, you know, especially your position where you sell vehicles and all that, it's very important that we talk about texting and driving, distracted driving. You know, those are the big issues.
Right.
And it doesn't take very long that somebody's down looking at their phone and they're involved in an accident. You know, and texting and driving includes a lot of things, whether you're texting yourself, if you're receiving a text, or if it's instant messaging. You know, so we just really encourage people not to do that.
Right.
You know, it's a very serious situation, and it's more common these days, and you know, we're just trying to get the word out. Just don't do that.
Don't do it, because it's sometimes, you know, it's easy. You think if you hear something, oh, if I'm going to be at a red light, I can peek over, but
Right.
but you can miss a lot going on around you just with that short.
Right, because you're distracted, so you're paying more attention to that than you are what's around you.
Right.
And you look up and you see the light's green, but you don't look both directions, and you're probably in front of somebody. Or if you're 2 or 3 cars back, and the car starts to take off, and you're have not been paying attention, and all of a sudden they have to stop again. Now you run into the rear end of them. And so these type of accidents can be easily avoided if they were just not texting and just paying attention to their surroundings.
Well, we're so distracted with our thoughts even today. It seems like, you know, we're busy and we're thinking where we're going or what we're doing next, and you know, that's enough distraction, let alone adding, you know, texting. Or
And they're even showing that with hands-free, you know, because you're paying more attention to your conversation and your thoughts than you are to your surroundings.
Right.
So even though it's safer, it's still a hazard.
Yes.
So, you know, if you receive a message, even though you're hands-free, keep messages to a short conversation, get your point across, and then get back to paying attention to what you're doing.
That is super good advice. What about, we have in the summer, we think barbecues and parties and cookouts and things. Let's talk about impaired driving.
Right. Yeah. Drinking and driving, again, is one of those very serious issues that it does seem like there is an increase during the summertime. There's more outside activities, whether it's going boating on the lake or cookouts. You know, we just encourage people to be responsible. You know, have a designated driver, take somebody with you that doesn't drink, or call a cab. You know, it's so much cheaper than being involved in an accident or just being picked up for a DUI.
Right.
DUIs are very expensive. I mean, you're talking about probably a minimum of $10,000.
Wow.
Or if you pay $20 or $30 for a cab ride, you know, you don't have to put yourself through all that. And a lot of people lose their jobs if they get a DUI arrest. And so, you know, just be responsible, think ahead, and if you find yourself in a position where you haven't thought ahead, then take a cab.
Right, right. That's so important. You've made a great point, you know, thinking ahead. If you have kind of a plan, you know, going into the party of who's going to drive you home or calling a cab, boy, you know, it's just that the after effect that can just, you know, ruin someone's life.
And it is amazing. I mean, there's a lot of people doing that these days. You know, be out and they're like, so-and-so is the designated driver, and they take turns of who's going to be the designated driver. And that's just smart about it, you know, because we want to encourage people to have fun. We want them to go out and enjoy themselves, but yet not put themselves in a position where they're endangering themselves or endangering other people. You know, just, again, think ahead. Think ahead.
Let's talk about just taking care of your valuables in cars. You hear about, you know, break-ins and things. What can people do to ensure their valuables are safe?
A lot of times what we recommend, especially during holiday season, is cover them up or put them in the trunk. And if you are accumulating too much one time, take them home, put them away, and then go back out. You don't want to leave them out where they're visible. You know, it's only glass between the person that wants to take the items and inside the vehicle. So the less they can see, the less they know it's in the vehicle, the better off you are.
What do you talk to your staff about how you can help our county with the citizens, and what can they do? What are you always talking to them like, I need you to do this to help the people?
Well, you know, we encourage our staff to treat people the way they want to be treated. You know, when you're out interacting with the community, just treat them like it's your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. A lot of times, it's their only interaction with you. You know, we're the police, we're there all the time. But they may be just a victim of a burglary, or you stop them for a traffic violation, and this is their only contact with you as a law enforcement officer. And this is the impression they're going to have, not only on you, but on the sheriff's office and other law enforcement as well. So be professional, do your job, be respectful, and just treat them the way you'd want to be treated. That's
just a great golden rule. It applies everywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Well, congratulations again, and thank you for all you do, and thanks for spreading the word of being safe and driving safely.
Well, thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. It's very important that we have this opportunity, especially at the beginning of the season.
Yes,
the beginning of the year, to get to start spreading the word. You know, just to start thinking, start preparing, and we want everybody to be safe. Absolutely, and then one thing I have to say, obviously being around cars, it's still important to buckle up. Absolutely. Always, right? Yes, yes. So that's another one of those very important issues that you can do to just protect yourself. Yes. Buckle up. We have airbags and we have all these fancy gadgets in the car, but a good old seatbelt can do a lot. I agree 100%. Good. Thank you so much, Sheriff. Thank you. My pleasure. It is my pleasure to have Fire Chief Ken Festen with me today. How are you doing? I'm doing well. How are you? Good. Well, great. First of all, I have to wish you well on your new adventure in life, in the retirement world. Yeah. June 1st, we're going to retire from the Springfield Fire Department. Well, I know I speak on behalf of everyone in the city to thank you for such a great job you've done, and just to wish you all the best. Thank you very much. It's been a great career, but we're looking forward to this next phase. Absolutely. That has to be fun. Well, I always have you on the show and you give me some safety tips, and since the Friendly Auto Show's theme this month is about safety, I was hoping you can help me one last time with what type of safety equipment should people have in their house? I know, like fire extinguishers, but give me a list. Yeah, fire extinguishers on every level. Make sure that they're currently certified. Smoke detectors within 15 feet of every bedroom. Smoke detectors on every level. Carbon monoxide detectors throughout the home, and those are state law to have those. So whether you're a homeowner or a property owner, it's a state law that you have a working smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I've known that. I got to check to see if our carbon monoxide detector is working. How often should you look at the batteries? I kind of forget on that. What we tell people to change their batteries is at daylight savings time. So when you change the clocks in the spring or change them back in the fall, change your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide batteries. Make sure that you have a working fire extinguisher inside your home, and make sure that it meets the UL listing on it. It may require either replaced or re-inspected every year or up to 5 years. I see. What are some of the most common types of house fires, Chief? One of the most common types of house fires is unattended cooking. A lot of people get home late at night. They'll start something on the oven. They'll lay down on the couch, and the next thing you know, they have a fire on their oven. So that's one of the most common causes of house fires is unattended cooking. Boy, what should someone do? What kind of plan should they have in place if something like this happens? The main thing is to have a family plan. Have an escape route, have a family meeting place, preferably in your front yard or in the neighbor's front yard. Leave the structure before you call 911. Do not call 911 from inside the building. If you can get out, the quicker, the better. Have that family meeting place, make sure your smoke detectors are operational, your carbon monoxide detectors are operational, and if you choose to use a fire extinguisher and you cannot put out the fire immediately, evacuate the house immediately. Boy, so time is of the essence. Time is of the essence, that's correct. Summer's approaching. Any special safety tips having to do with this time of year? You know, with this time of year coming around, we'll see a lot of boaters, so make sure that all your flotation devices are handy, make sure you have a fire extinguisher on your boat. Make sure that it meets all the current safety requirements that the boating industry calls for. The main thing is to have a personal flotation device for every occupant of the boat. Okay. What about, I think of barbecuing? Any fires related with barbecue grilling and so forth? We would always encourage people to have a fire extinguisher or a garden hose on hand, just in the event that the barbecue would get out of hand.
Great, great. Any other tips you have for our viewers? Something that, a special tip to keep safe?
Just have a great summer. Thank you for allowing your viewers, allowing me to serve this city as long as I've been here. I've been here 26 years. I've loved every minute of it, and I'm just thankful that I've had the profession that I've loved going to work every day. So.
That's wonderful. The best of luck to you,
Thank
Chief.
you very much. I appreciate that.
Hope these tips keep you safe this summer. We'll be on Lake Springfield next. See you then. Thanks for watching.